Hey, it's me, MLB. Here is chapter 66 of Chance Ball, and this one is titled Early Days. Dabi dished out your food and then waited a little while, but when it looked like that you weren't going to come back anytime soon, he ate. 1 hour later, you wandered into the room, one titty still hanging out as you blinked in the bright light. She asleep again? Dabi asked. Yeah, I checked her nappy before putting her down and she hasn't done a poo. There was a little bit of wee in there, but she'll be okay, you replied, yawning as you walked over to sit down. Can I have a suck? Dabi asked, gesturing to your tit. Huh? Oh! You exclaimed, looking down and seeing that you were exposed. Damn, these have a mind of their own. You picked up a utensil to start eating, but the first mouthful winded up being cold, so you got up to heat the food up in the microwave. The timer had just gone off when you heard a little grunt from the monitor and walked over to have a look. Oh, I think she's done a poo, you said in a defeated voice, watching her face scrunch slightly as she pushed it out in her sleep. The microwave beeped again to let you know that it was ready, and you looked at it and then back to the monitor. Oh man, I just want to eat, you groaned sadly. You sit down. I'll clean her up, Dabi said as he stood up from the table. Thanks, Daddy, you said with relief as he took the food from the microwave and sat down to eat. No problems, Mama, he replied as he passed you with a kiss to your temple. You sat down and hooked into the food, slurping the noodles down like they were the last food you'd ever get to eat in your entire life. Mama, Dabi called over the monitor. You got up and grabbed it and then sat back down. Yeah, Daddy? You asked into it, holding the button down to talk. I think she's hungry again. Are you serious? I just fed her, you lamented, hearing her making her hungry, snuffling noises over the speaker. Okay, I'm coming. Sadly, you left your half-eaten food on the table as you waddled your way back up to the room to feed her. Dabi handed little Koemi over to you, and you sat down in the rocking chair and got your titty out again to feed. You thought that he might leave straight away, but instead he just stood there watching you feed, his eyes glued to your bulging breast. You good? You asked in a dun voice as he stared you down. Yep, he replied. You're hopeless, you sighed with a shake of your head. He grinned and reached out to cop a feel, but you smacked his hand away and scowled at him. Not yours, these are Koemi's now. No fair, he pouted playfully. I saw them first, they're mine. Leave me in peace, and I'll let you touch them later, you promised. He resigned and left you to feed, so you sat there holding your little girl in arms while she fed deeply. After finally getting her off you and back down in the cot, you went back down to the kitchen to finish your food and found Dabi asleep on the lounge. You smirked and shook your head, then you got him a blanket and gently put it over him before heading upstairs to the bed to sleep. It was 4 a.m. when you woke next to the sound of baby Kay calling out for you, and you dragged yourself out of bed and met Dabi as he came stumbling up the stairs to get her. What's wrong? Why is she crying? Oh, she's probably hungry again, you mumbled sleepily. Okay. Anything I can do to help? He asked through a yawn. Nah, it's okay. You go back to sleep. I'll call if I need you, you replied as you got to her bedroom. You picked her out of her little cot and soothed her as you got ready to feed, and then sat down in the rocking chair and settled back. You drifted off to sleep a few times, and every time you looked down at her, she was fast asleep as well. But when you moved, she'd move her head around with her mouth open searching for your nipple, so you'd give it to her again, and she'd settle immediately. Oh, I really want to lie down, you lamented as you tried to shift her back to her cot, but she refused to go down and would only settle if you had her in arms with your boob in her mouth. It was now 7 a.m. and the sun was up, and you hadn't been able to detach yourself from her successfully, so you were getting to the end of your tether. Dabi, you called in a tired voice. Can you please take her so I can sleep? He mumbled, with the sounds of him getting out of bed and wandering down the hallway to the bedroom, followed by his mumbled sound. She just wants to be in my arms all the time, and I'm exhausted, you said, yawning with tears in your eyes. Yeah, he mumbled, as he took Koemi from your arms. I'll hold her. You sleep. Little Koemi was happy to transfer to Daddy, and snuggled in as he carried her gently to the rocking chair and sat down in it. Hey, this is comfy, he said as he settled back against the backrest and flicked the leg support and footstool up. You grunted in agreement, but then left as soon as possible to go and have a sleep. You only got an hour and a half sleep before Koemi needed to feed again, and you woke to the feeling of your milk letting down when you heard her little cry. Is she hungry? You called as you dragged yourself out of bed. I think so, Dabi called back. Hey, not there. I don't have any nipples, you heard him say to your hungry little one. You walked into the room in time to see her nuzzling into his shirt, and then took her from him and sat down in the rocking chair. As you lifted your shirt up, your stomach growled and you gave Dabi a pitiful look. "Can I please have some food? I'm starving," you said sadly. He nodded and walked off. "I'm going to get Uber Eats. What do you want?" In another half an hour, the food delivery had arrived and you'd just finished feeding Koemi, but she needed changing and had her beautiful grey eyes open, so you were well and truly occupied with her beautiful little face. "Food's here," Dabi called upstairs. "Yup," you shouted back as you grabbed a new nappy to change your awake little bub. "Okay, let's change you, and then Mummy can go and eat, and maybe Daddy can hold you, huh?" you chatted to Koemi as you lay her down on the change table. You opened her nappy and it was just damp, so you quickly got a new one and switched the old nappy out and the new one in, but as soon as you did that, she let out a little grunt and a yellowish breastfed baby poop squirted everywhere. "Oh!" you gasped, then stepped back with surprise. You didn't quite know what to do for a second, and then grabbed for the wipes and tried to clean her up. But as you wiped her little bottom, more came out and got all over your hand. "Ah!" you cried, unable to do anything because you were holding her little legs up with your other hand. You dropped the soiled wipes onto the change table and grabbed some more, but unbeknownst to you, you had feces on your hand and got it on the side of the wet wipes packet as you grabbed for some more. As you pulled your hand back, you saw what had happened and gasped loudly, then screamed when little Ko let loose another round of poop. Your loud noise gave her a fright and she cried out, letting her little wailing cry ring out around the room as you tried to tidy her up while hushing her. "What's happened?" Dabi called as he ran in. "She's crapped everywhere and it's on everything. There's poo on my hand and..." You burst into tears. "I can't do this anymore," you sobbed. He muttered when he saw the absolute arse-ham carnage that had happened in his absence. Let me help. Where can I..." He paused, trying to work out where to start first. He got some wipes and wiped your hand up temporarily, then helped get a clean nappy onto Koemi, and then picked her up and calmed her down while you wiped up all the other mess. "Man," you grunted, pulling out a 20th wipe to wipe up yet some more poop. "I had no idea it would get everywhere like this. How could so much come out of such a small little butt?" Finally, after wiping and cleaning and spraying the change table down, you packed everything away and turned to Dabi, who had been holding Koemi in his arms. "Okay, is she asleep? I'm starving." "Yeah, she is. You go and eat, and I'll be down once I put her in the cot," Dabi replied softly. "What if she doesn't go down nicely in the cot and wakes up? Could you please hold her for just another 20 minutes while I eat, and that way if she wakes up, at least I've had some food." "Okay," he replied, turning and walking over to the blinds to put them down while you went downstairs to eat. You ate your fill and had just rested back against the seat when you heard a little noise on the monitor and looked over to check it. Dabi was very gently putting Koemi down in the cot and had managed to put her down without any fuss, and you smiled as he came down the stairs and grinned at you. "I'm amazing," he said with a wide arm gesture, as if that you should drop to your knees and praise him right there and then. Okay, I'll concede. You are amazing," you said with a smirk and an eye roll as you got up and walked over to give him a hug. "Have you got practice tonight?" you asked. "Nah, I've taken a few weeks off to help you with Ko, and I'm glad I did. Because who would have thought that such a small baby could be so much work?" "I know, right? All she does is eat, sleep and poop, but I still don't get a break," you lamented. "She's pretty chilled out though, so that's a good thing. If she was hard to handle, it would make it far worse." Just then a little squeaking cry rang out through the monitor, and you looked over at it. "Is she hungry again?" you wailed. Her cry was followed by a loud fart, and your and Dabi's eyebrows flew up in surprise. "Cool crap," he said with surprise. "She farts loud." "I think she's pooping again. Oh my god, Poopy Monster should be her nickname." You let Dabi go and walked past him to the stairs. "PM, Poopy Monster, or Prime Minister?" "Queen Pooper Scoops," you replied as you walked up the stairs to her room and pushed the door open. "Yes, my queen, what ails thee?" Her little cry, followed by another fart, made you let out a little whine of sympathy. "Aw, what is it, my little bundle?" you asked as you picked her up. She obviously had a lot of gas and needed help moving it, so you and Dabi took turns holding her and Googling ways to help get the gas out of her tummy. All in all, even though the first 4 months of life with a newborn were full-on and tiring, it went by all too quickly, and your little one was starting to develop a little personality of her own. She loved being naked and taking baths, but hated loud noises and the pink butterflies on her wall, which you told Dabi to take down when you realised that was what was setting her off. You attended Dabi's games regularly with her in the baby carrier, and if she wasn't awake, she was napping peacefully amongst the din of the volleyball court. For some reason, these noises calmed her down. "She's growing so fast," Fueji commented after one game, when you came down to see Dabi. I know, right? She'll be 5 months old in a week and a bit, you said, turning side on so he could see the sleepy little head. She's going to be a looker, I can just tell, he said. Yeah, that's because I'm her daddy, Dabi piped up as he walked over. She gets her looks from me. Nah, I think she looks more like Yin, Fuji said, especially the hair. Yeah, but the eyes are like mine. You can get anything you want with those killer eyes, he said knowingly. You grinned. Either way, Daddy, you'll need to keep your gun handy because the boys will be lining up, you said with warning. Ha, bring it on, he said, bending his head down to kiss sleeping little Ko on the head. Another 4 months flew by, and it became apparent that Koemi loved to watch volleyball. Whenever Dabi was watching practice tapes or reruns, your little girl would crawl over to him and beg to sit on his lap so that she could watch as well. Oh, what a little cutie patootie. Stay tuned for the next chapter, chapter 67, coming tomorrow. I'll see you then.